Updating Fox Top story now, and the first suspect set to face justice in the deadly terror attack in Benghazi, Libya. That suspect is Ahmed Abu Khattala, and right now he's on a Navy ship which will bring him to the United States to face charges in a criminal court. Among the charges, killing a person in an attack on a federal facility, providing support to terrorists, which resulted in death, and using a firearm in a violent crime. That's all from the criminal complaint, which we've now found unsealed. Since he faces charges in a criminal court, reporters are asking the Pentagon spokesperson if they read the suspect his Miranda rights, letting him know he doesn't have to answer any questions. Remember, you can remain silent. That spokesperson said, couldn't get into those details then.
This isn't just about successful capture. This is about a legal process. And I think it's important to preserve the integrity of that process.
A U.S. official told Fox News that forces have already interrogated the suspect after his capture. Let's bring in the judge. Fox News senior judicial analyst, Judge Andrew Napolitano, good to see you today.
Good to be with you, Harris.
Let's get to it right now with this criminal complaint. And I'm going to cheat a little bit and lean on Greta Van Susteren with my first question.
No cheating.
She emailed me this.
She's a good post to lean on.
Awesome. So Greta wants to say, I've noticed this is not an indictment but a criminal complaint. Does a complaint allow them to hold him longer and question him without presenting a federal court?
No, the complaint does not allow them to hold him longer, but the complaint allows them to arrest him and bring him to a federal judge. Often a complaint, which is frequently the first document filed in a criminal case, is based upon scanty knowledge that the FBI has before it develops a case against a person. This is not the indictment. This is not the document that will charge him with the crimes formally. That will be far longer, far more detailed, will charge him with far more crimes, and it will emanate from a grand jury. This criminal complaint came from a single FBI agent filing the criminal complaint with a federal judge.
What's the difference?
The Constitution, it's a great question. The Constitution requires an indictment, meaning in order to be tried in the federal system, the case has to be sifted, filtered through a grand jury, which is 23 civilians sitting in secret, deciding whether or not, in their opinion, it is more likely than not you are the person the government is after and you have done what the government says you will do. It's not a conviction, it's just a charge, and you'll still enjoy the presumption of innocence.
And so it's more expedient, too, correct?
It's more expedient to file a criminal complaint.
Right.
Because you don't have to go to the grand jury.
All those 23 people.
Correct.
Talk to me about Miranda in this case.
Well, in fairness to Admiral Kirby, who basically didn't answer the question about whether he was Mirandized, the Admiral probably doesn't know if he was Mirandized. This is a very technical and controversial area of the law. Theoretically, whenever someone is arrested, they should receive the Miranda warning immediately, whether they're arrested by the military, by law enforcement, or as in this case, by both. I suspect they did not give him a Miranda warning, and they are interrogating him for intelligence purposes. That means whatever he tells them cannot be used in the prosecution against him, but it can be used to help them find his comrades. That would probably enable them to question him without giving him the Miranda warning and without affecting the integrity of the prosecution of him.
And what do you say to those people who are angry that he would get the same kind of protections that we get under the law if he's brought here?
Well, their problem is with the Constitution, because the Constitution protects persons. It doesn't protect just citizens. So once he is in custody of the FBI, and he was in custody of the FBI from moment one, since there was at least one FBI agent there at the scene, he enjoys the same constitutional protections as you and I and everybody watching us.
All right, I'm writing that down, persons. Can we pop up some words on the screen? Because we've got the judge here, and I want him to dissect this criminal complaint like no one else can. All right. The word terrorist is used. Talk to me. That's the first time we've heard that. We haven't heard that from the administration.
The use of the word terrorist in a criminal complaint, most respectfully, is not a term of art. Terrorism, act of terrorism, is a term of art, and it basically means you have engaged in two or more criminal acts intending to change the policy of the government. But the crimes for which he was charged do not necessarily implicate terrorism. He was charged with killing somebody on an American federal facility. That's the same crime as if somebody shot someone on a post office. He was charged with using a weapon unlawfully on an American federal facility. That would be the same as if you shot somebody in the Washington Navy Yard. Why? Because the FBI had a limited amount of evidence at the time it filed this complaint. It has a lot more now that it will bring to the grand jury.
Real quickly before I let you go, is there anything, or should I say, what concerns you about justice being carried out with this man coming to the District of Columbia? Anything that gives you pause?
No. The U.S. Attorney in the District of Columbia has a very sophisticated team that specializes in trying people like this. The FBI has a very sophisticated team that specializes in investigating people who do this. We have the same thing in New York City. Quite frankly, the civilian federal prosecutors have been shown more sophistication and more success than the military prosecutors have.
Yeah, I guess everybody thinks so.
But he's going to get an open and public trial that any of us can go and watch, and there's going to be 12 citizens from the District of Columbia who will sit in judgment with him. Not military people, but citizens.
Gitmo?
No secrets in this case, and no Gitmo. Well, they really can't bring him to Gitmo because of the presence of the FBI agent at the time of the arrest. I understand the politicians who want him to go to Gitmo, and I understand their political motivation. But legally, the federal system will trump the military because they filed that criminal complaint against him.
And there was an FBI agent in the room.
You got it.
Okay. Judge Knapp, thank you. Good to have you.
Anytime.
I told you he'd break it down.